The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Great discussion on the big topics in sports. This is Riddle and the Reporter with Junie Riddle and Nick Keyser on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome into Saturday morning's edition of Riddle and the Reporter. Junie Riddle, Nick Keyser, and Nick Frazier behind the glass, live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studio. You can also watch us streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every day. Our video streaming is brought to you by Superbook Sports. Download their app and use promo code THEGAME today. Fellas, happy Saturday. We finally made it to the weekend. Training camp kicked off this week. How was everybody's week? How we doing?
Good. Now, I got burned at training camp the first day that I was out there.
Sunburned.
Yes.
You got sunburned?
I did.
Oh, man.
But that's okay. That's okay. It's not that bad anymore. It was a lot worse a few days ago. So I'm okay, but it was fun to go out there, kind of take in the first bit of practice and see what the press conference was like. It was interesting comments from Kevin Byard, and hearing that Tannehill also got asked to do the quarterback series, and now knowing what it was, I'm kind of glad that it was Kirk Cousins. But
I am so happy you brought that up because I kind of have a hot take.
Ooh, okay.
I have a hot take. I think Ryan Tannehill is going to be on quarterback season two.
Now,
and I'm going to tell you why real quick, because we talked about this last week. We talked about the documentary.
Mm-hmm.
And when you put in a guy like Kirk Cousins, I think Ryan Tannehill and Kirk Cousins are like the AFC and NFC version of one another.
Absolutely.
Kirk Cousins has, he has better O-line, he has better receivers, but I think they're kind of very similar. Maybe Ryan Tannehill's just a little bit more mobile, not as great of a passer, and Kirk Cousins more stationary, and he's probably a better thrower of the football. But they're the same kind of caliber of player. I think, and they're both being really good guys off the field. I think with the positive response that we have gotten from Kirk Cousins, because I'm now a Kirk Cousins fan. I'm not going to lie to you. Because of the quarterback documentary, I am a Kirk Cousins fan. I think Ryan Tannehill saw that and is seeing how the national narrative around Kirk Cousins is changing. And I think that he's going to try and be on quarterback season.
Oh, 100%. I think there's a lot of room to think about it. He has not been asked to do it yet. So we'll see if it does happen here in the next few weeks or so, because when they start filming for it, it's typically around that preseason time to get to know them. So we'll see what that turns into. But Joe Burrow, remember, he was actually asked about it as well. I feel like most starting quarterbacks have been asked about it now that training camp is underway, so we know about a few of them. So I'm curious to see who they end up landing on. And I think just because of the storyline that we got from Kirk, it is very appealing to go over to Ryan Tannehill. So we'll see what it looks like, Junie. But training camp has been good, I would say, so far this week. We've seen a lot of progress from rookies of the past season coming into this season. And one guy that I know that everyone's been talking about has been Treylon Burks and how comfortable he looks. And so the way that he threw it out there on Caroline Willie and D-Mace, talking about how comfortable he was at the workouts because he stayed back in Nashville all season. He went back to Arkansas for like 2 weeks, I think is what he said. And now he's back here in Nashville. He's preparing himself for war, essentially, and he's going to try to be one of these leaders in the offense. So among others, I just think he stands out as well to kick things off at training camp. But it's good to have football back, Junie, because I know right around, a couple weeks from now, we'll have the NFL Hall of Fame game, correct?
No, this upcoming Thursday.
Okay, so this
August
week.
3rd. This upcoming week, helmets and pads are going to get put on, ladies and gentlemen, and we are going to have a football game.
And then you'll have college football, too.
College football is coming up later. Maybe I'm a little bit energized than I should be. But, guys, football is back.
Yes.
This is what we've all been waiting for. It has been such a slow summer. I mean, we've had some headlines. Don't get me wrong. I'm blessed for all the headlines that we have gotten and been able to talk about. when you're talking about getting into the nitty-gritty of fall sports, football's coming back. That's going to hold us over until hockey season. And then that October area where the sports matrix happens and everybody's playing is great. But you mentioned Traylon Burks. We're going to get into some of the positives later this hour. Coming up at 9:30, we are going to talk to the Predators' 7th-round draft pick, David Poyle's last draft pick ever as the Predators GM, Aiden Fink. He will be joining us at 9:30. So we're going to get into some Titans positives and negatives a little bit later in the show. But some other negatives around some training camps around the country. Joe Burrow goes down in an 11-on-11 drill, scrambles out of the pocket, and then starts limping, grabbing his calf, and has to get carted off the field. Zach Taylor, head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, came out and said that it is a calf strain, that he's going to be out for the next couple weeks, so that it's definitely something to monitor. But for Bengals fans and a lot of NFL fans, a sigh of relief that this wasn't a little bit more serious than what we could have thought it was initially when we saw the video. So what was your reaction to that?
Wow. It scares me every single time I see a guy, because he was hopping up on his one leg and he was holding it up. And
it's
so
non-contact injury, too.
I know, and that's what scared me was Joe Burrow in the middle of a drill tries. I mean, it wasn't I don't think he looked like he was scrambling necessarily. He was getting free out of the pocket to make a throw. It was just such a strange motion for him to kind of go through right there. But also, too, before the injury even happened, Junie, he was also wearing a sleeve already over there, too, on his legs. So not to read into he's nursing something currently, but most guys that wear that, it's for, hey, I'm trying to be cautious. It's training camp. I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. But also, guys just do it out of comfortability as well. But seeing him go down the way he did, look, I immediately go ACL because I've been there. I've done that. I know what it feels like. And it's a non-contact injury. It most of the time is. And so I really thought he either sprained his meniscus or his knee or something along the lines like his ankle. But the way he immediately held it up in half of a second, it scared me a lot. But I'm glad that he's better off than what maybe we had thought initially. But one other guy was not as lucky, Junie, and that would be Jalen Ramsey.
And we have some audio, Garofalo, on Jalen Ramsey's injury on 7/28 and what implication that might have going forward.
If it's a meniscus trim, you're talking around 6 weeks, which is right up against the start of the season. So that is the timeline that we're looking at right now via sources. That's the best hope for Jalen Ramsey. This is the best case scenario based on the mechanism of how he injured himself today in practice.
So that was Garofalo talking about Jalen Ramsey. Again, he got carted off the field as well. It seems as if that's nothing serious. He's probably just going to get a little extra rest, maybe miss the first week or so of the season. But in the long haul, a good I feel like overall a good situation for the Dolphins, who have really high expectations. I don't think a lot of people are talking about the Dolphins this year, especially on the defensive side of things. But you add a guy like Jalen Ramsey on the other side of Xavier Howard, and that's probably one of the better 1-2 corner punches in the league. And Warren Sharp actually came out and did a top 22 rankings. I think he's going to do all 32. But his top defensive front seven in the entire NFL this year is the Miami Dolphins, and nobody's talking about it. They drafted that kid Phillips out of Miami, and he had a really good rookie year last year, and they traded for Bradley Chubb from the Broncos at the edge rusher position. David Long Jr. as well, if he can stay healthy. That front seven and secondary all looking really good, and we know the kind of firepower that Miami has. So Jalen Ramsey's going to be a huge key to this team, and especially with that big-time matchup against the Chargers, week 1 against Justin Herbert and company. They're going to definitely want him back sooner rather than later.
Yeah, they really will, and the fact that he already had surgery, he had it yesterday at 1 p.m., so for that sake, he's already on top of it. It was a few days removed, less than really, and now he's going to be back on track to be a healthy corner. He's a dangerous corner, that's for damn sure. And so I'd be glad to see what he looks like once he comes back out of it. But Junie, training camp, you're going to see injuries. I remember even Corey Curtis asked Mike Vrabel the other day about having all the 90 guys there, and he goes, it's the first day.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, it is the first day, Mike, but you know what? You have 90 out here. Nobody got hurt the first day. Didn't see anyone really miss other than the couple of days. The only person I've been curious about that has not been out there the entire time has been Josh Wiley.
Yes.
So I'm really wondering why that is.
I think I saw a tweet from TD yesterday, and again, we were so busy yesterday with the Game Summer Ticket Tour, so I might have read this wrong, but I think he might have tweeted that he was out there yesterday.
I saw he was
not. He was not. Okay, maybe I read that wrong. Like I said, I was not. If you follow me on Twitter, you did not see a lot of action yesterday. We were busy as all could be out at Homegrown Tap Room for the Game Summer Ticket Tour. Gave out maybe like 40 pairs.
There
of
were
tickets
good.
last
There
night.
were really good things yesterday. I was listening when Jarrett started.
Oh, it was a packed house.
And it was definitely crammed, and there were a lot of good giveaways. And look, you can't go wrong with the 501 giveaways. You can't go wrong going to see Preds or Sounds or going to any concert that's at Bridgestone or anywhere else here in town. So be sure to stay tuned for that. We're going to have a couple more remotes, I believe, Junie, so stay tuned for that.
Our finale is actually going to be this upcoming week, so we'll give you some more information on that a little bit later. But the last thing I want to touch on from this week is, did you see Jim Wyatt's video that he tweeted out?
I
DeAndre
did.
Hopkins, okay? First one-on-one of practice yesterday. They didn't do it on Wednesday, but they did it on Friday. One-on-ones, receivers, first corners, and DeAndre Hopkins did a 9 route, just straight fly up the field on Christian Fulton, and he just absolutely mossed on this man. One-handed grab. It was disgusting.
Smoked him. And by the way, I do want to correct myself. Josh was back. I wanted to go back and check Tehran's Twitter. So Josh was back, but no Jamarco Jones, who's been really big on Vrabel's brain, and he likes him. So that's just one thing to keep an eye on as well. But really, like Vrabel even said earlier, it's very early. But to not have someone out there is notable, but to have them come back is just as notable. But yeah, that grab, Jerry was saying yesterday, D-Hop's back. Well, D-Hop's been this way for a while, hadn't he? I don't really think he's back.
When he's been in the game, I know he dealt with an injury in 21. He had the suspension last year. When he's played, he's looked like that.
Yes.
And, when Julio first got here, it did not look like Julio Jones. But let me tell you something. We were there on Wednesday. We did not go out to practice yesterday, but this man, DeAndre Hopkins, looks like DeAndre Hopkins.
Yes.
Something else to note of this week, the Tennessee Titans signed veteran tackle Chris Hubbard, 32-year-old, 9-year NFL veteran who has spent most of his time with the Pittsburgh Steelers and Cleveland Browns, has started 49 games. I would say outside of a handful he's played those 49 starts at right tackle. So that's something that we're going to get into a little bit later when we discuss the offensive line. But coming up next, Joe Rexrode on The Athletic came out with a 53-man roster prediction. Me and D-Mace discussed it a little bit on Wednesday when I was on Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace, but I want to discuss some of this with Nick Keiser in our takeaways from Joe's pre-camp predictions. We're going to get into that next. You're listening to Riddle and Reporter here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Whether it's college football,
players might end up not going to Alabama or Georgia,
or the NFL,
I think that this team wins the AFC South.
Trevor knows. Join ESPN's Trevor Maddich every Tuesday at 4:30 on Stillman and Company as he gives his opinions on the latest from the gridiron.
I'm going to the team where I can get a ring.
Trevor Maddich brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, where experience matters, on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Tennessee's tax-free holiday is here. Head to Electronic Express this weekend for great deals on back-to-school essentials, like an HP Ryzen 3 laptop, only $399, or an LG touchscreen laptop, just $749. Electronic Express has laptops, tablets, printers, and more, all tax-free, Friday through Sunday. Don't miss an Apple iMac computer for only $549, or a Samsung tablet, just $119. Shop in-store or online with up to 60-month special financing. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hey everybody, Joe Rexford here. Excited to talk to you about PhD weight loss because when I started the program, my goal was to lose 38 pounds. I have lost 31. I'm on my way. I'm feeling great. And a lot of things about this program are exciting. One, the food items are tasty. They provide up to 85% of your food. No pills, no gimmicks, no suppressants, no cravings. No problem. It feels good and it feels sustainable. And obviously, for anybody who has tried to lose weight, you can lose weight on different programs, but can you sustain it? Can you get past the plateau? This is a plateau busting program, okay? You don't stall out. You don't want to quit. There's constant care. The program is designed for you. My coach, Rachel, does a great job not only of tweaking the program and helping me through and motivating me, but also explaining to me how this is working in my body. And you got a guarantee with this program. If you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight at the end of the program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. Join me now. You won't regret it. Visit myphdweightloss.com.
It's back to school time! Check out the Stars Nashville Thrives tent at the Back to School event in Madison on Saturday, July 29th from 3 to 6 at the El Patron Event Center at 709A Rivergate Parkway in Goodlettsville. And in Nashville on Sunday, July 30th from 12 to 3 at Coleman Park, 384 Thompson Lane. There will be school supplies on a first-come basis. Bring your unused medications and safely dispose of them in the drug take-back box. This project is funded under a grant contract with the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, it's John Tesh. You want to know how to get better rates, better coverage, and better service on your home and auto insurance? Work with Xander Insurance. I know it's a big promise, but this team delivers. They've been around for almost 100 years and have earned the privilege of representing dozens of insurance companies so they can shop, compare, and find you the best options available. More options mean more savings, and in many cases, better coverage. But it doesn't stop there. Each year, they review your coverage to make sure your rates stay competitive. Nobody else does that. And when it comes to service, just check out their ratings. Xander is one of the top agencies in the industry, and they earned that spot with their commitment to making sure their clients are taken care of like family. That's what sets them apart. Go to Xander.com for quick online quotes or call 800-356-1780 for that personal touch that you've been missing.
Okay, well, if you don't make it in time, I have got you covered.
Be sure to subscribe to the Riddle and the Reporter podcast on Apple, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms. You're listening to Riddle and the Reporter.
The conversation is sparkling.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
All right, TD, last thing for you here. I know it's only been one day, but what were your impressions from Hopkins on Wednesday?
Yeah, I tell you what, and Jared, dare I quote Jared, he made a very, very good comparison and for that situation where he said it was like in Madden when you trade for a player and that player just comes in and there's no real assimilation process. He just comes in and knows everything right away, you know, because that's how it works in the video games. That's how Hopkins was, honestly. I appreciated the way he talked to the younger receivers. I'm talking about even just coming out before they started individual period. He shook every one of their hands. You know what I mean? And then you see he and Burks on the side talking and going over some things. And then he, Tannehill, along with Burks, all went to the side field during special teams with some of the offensive coaches, and they worked on top of the route stuff. And then right away, he gets involved. 3 of Tannehill's first 5 passes, 7-on-7, they went to DeAndre Hopkins. So there's definitely already, involvement from him. And I think that's big. And he caught everything that came his way. And there was one that was incomplete. But still, I was impressed with that.
That was TD yesterday when he joined Robbie and Rexroad like he does at 8 o'clock on every single Friday. Talking about DeAndre Hopkins and his impact that he had on the first day of training camp. Junie Riddle, Nick Keyser, welcome back into Riddle and the Reporter. Speaking of training camp, tune into the Chase McCabe Show and Caroline, Willie, and D-Mays 3 days next week as they broadcast live from Titans training camp on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. They'll get player interviews and deliver the latest updates with Titans practice as the team preps for the 2023 season. Coverage of Titans training camp is presented by Simmons Bank Open, Parman Energy, and Cottle Vet Clinic. And let me tell you, when TD talks about, he did quote Jared on it was like picking up a player in Madden, and it's like they automatically knew what to do. It's exactly what it looked like.
Yeah, it was.
3 of the first 5 passes straight to D-Hop, getting him going. It looks seamless. The first 2 days, D-Hop is the story of Titans training camp.
Oh, he 100% is, and that was a good analysis by TD, and better yet, D-Hop backed it up with another one-handed catch. He's been popping off on social media all week for the most part, really since he signed, and people have been clapping back at him or clapping at him, and he's been clapping back, and he's been giving some sass, and I like his personality, quite frankly. He's a guy that I feel like is going to consistently challenge you to think different ways about him, and on the field as well. He's not a major talker from what I've seen, but when he does talk, oh man, he backs himself up like it's nothing. So to see him ball out at camp is not shocking whatsoever, Junie. But that one-handed catch he had over Christian Fulton yesterday, whoo,
It was disgusting.
He mossed him.
It was disgusting. We're going to head over to the phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, or text line, I'm sorry, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Wes from Hermitage, we were just talking about the game summer ticket tour. Wes from Hermitage says, thank you so much for the Daniel Tosh tickets. Can't wait. Glad to meet a few of y'all. Junie, you're the man, bro. I did give him the Daniel Tosh tickets. Wes from Hermitage came out to Homegrown in Donaldson, and he was one of the winners. Like I said, we got rid of a lot of tickets. So be like Wes from Hermitage and stop by the game.
There you go.
Tour. But we teased it before the break.
Yes.
We're going to get into Joe Rexrode's article on The Athletic talking about his 53-man roster projections. All in all, I like it. I like it. But there are a few things that I would personally change.
Okay.
One of which, it starts with the running back position. He has 4 running backs making this team. I don't think that that's necessary. He has 4 running backs and 3 edge rushers.
Okay.
If I would flip-flop those. When you got Derrick Henry getting the production that Derrick Henry gets, and Tajay Spears is supposed to come in and supplement that.
Sure.
Right? That's going to take over 95% of the snaps at running back right there. Then that leaves you a guy like a Julius Chestnut who can play special teams. He's a return guy. He has that capability. I think you only need 3, especially when you have Derrick Henry. And then when it comes to outside linebacker, he has Harold Landry, Arden Key, and Rashad Weaver. And the guy that I would add is the Caleb Murphy kid out of Ferris State that had the 25-plus sacks. I talk about, like TD talks about this kid. He's the one that really put me on him. I think he has to be in the mix. And you need to have at least 4 edge rushers because that's such a key position that you need to have a good, solid rotation. So take away a running back for me, add an edge rusher, and I think it's going to be that kid, Caleb Murphy.
Right, and I think that's a solid add to the line, and I think he would be someone to keep an eye on going into preseason as well. There's a couple of storylines, and I'm going to go ahead and get out in front of this, but I really think that we're going to have a really good battle at kicker. You and I were talking about that on the sidelines, actually. It was a brief little discussion, but it wasn't that long of a time to see those reps in front of us. They didn't miss a field goal. I think it's literally going to come down to a couple of different misses or some different looks during the preseason, not even at practice. I think it's going to come down to, all right, you both have tremendous talent. You both can be great kickers. But one thing that I think sets apart one from the other is just strictly size. And I feel like at times when I've looked at the most popular kickers that have the power and the length to their kicks, they both have both of those things that I just mentioned toward the end. But one thing I'm looking for is the durability, and I would rather get a guy like Caleb Shudak in there. I think he's looked pretty good. I think Wolf has looked really good as well. But like I said, it's going to look very unique. But also another guy that we can take off of Joe's 53-man that did not sign with the Titans.
George Fant.
Is George Fant. He's with the Texans. At least he did sign Junie, but he is not going to be part of the two-tone blue moving forward. So we'll see what that ends up looking like. We already talked about what the Titans did instead of adding him. But also, too, I think at tight end, I think it's pretty good there. I was taking a look there. I really was interested to see Josh on the first day, but we didn't get to see him then. He was there yesterday, but we weren't there. Would have liked to have seen him a little bit more. But I thought, too, kind of going back to what I saw from the D-line going back to that first day, I did look a little bit at Tier Tart and some of those drills when I was back behind the goalpost back there early on in practice, and I liked the way that he was moving around personally. He was underrated last season. I'd like to see how he moves around this year as well, but I really like that pick from Joe as well. It's kind of a dub pick, but I think he'll make it in there. I think it'll be seamless. And then my last one I kind of want to hit on really quick was Arden Key. You hear that guy. You hear him everywhere, and I love that. And that's a guy you would love to have on anybody's team, but the way he's vocal goes a long way.
I like Arden Key as well. He actually sat with Derek and I when we were broadcasting.
That's right,
from,
he did.
from Titans training camp, and let me tell you, like he was genuinely exhausted. Like they blew the horn and practice was over and they all met in the middle of the field, and Vrabel had a couple words to say, and then immediately Robbie Bourne brought him over to us, and he sat and talked with him. I mean, he was huffing and puffing. You can just tell that this is a guy that's not only vocal, but he gives it all every single day, every single rep. And for me, Arden Key kind of being that third guy in Jacksonville, that edge rusher that would come off the bench. I like that he has this energy because it makes me feel like he can really seize this opportunity to more than likely be the starter across from Harold Landry. So seeing that, I'm really hopeful for what he brings, and the way that he has been showing up in practice has been really good.
So I think that's great. Now, one question I have for you is, do you really feel like 6 corners are going to make this team? Do you feel like one person could potentially not make the cut? And I love that Christian Fulton is there, but he is the guy that has the most question marks for me on defense.
Well, I mean, Christian Fulton is definitely going to make this team.
He will, but I still have a lot of questions with him.
I mean, of course, we have questions due to injury, but
sure.
When Christian Fulton is in the game, I mean, the guy makes a difference.
And the reason I'm bringing it up too is I feel like Roger McCreary will have a bounce back season. I feel like he was a rookie last year, but this is a young team, and I feel like they, with all the experience they garnered last year from playing in those games, getting those valuable reps, it's going to go a long way. And they add a veteran like Sean Murphy. I think that was a strong pick on their end too. But
I don't know about Sean Murphy, but
really,
again, we're going to get more into details about what we're seeing at practice and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But some of the things from Sean Murphy Bunting has me kind of questioning his capability and where he fits in this offense. Elijah Molden in that cornerback room, he's coming back from injury. We've actually been seeing him be put at safety a bit as well.
Yeah,
he's going back and forth between the two.
Yeah, he's been back there. I think they're trying to make him kind of like that Swiss Army knife in the defense, and that's going to be something that you need. I feel like the adjustment that Vrabel and his coaching staff has made is the way that they've had to go off of so many different key guys. What I've kind of picked up on is he's trying to get guys to learn positions and kind of be there for one another too.
Yeah.
And so I want to see more of that. But if you have a healthy roster and you want to throw off the offense, well, you could swap around a couple of guys in the secondary and see what that kind of looks like. Not all the time, but definitely you could give teams different looks.
Yeah.
But I do like that there's at least one guy that's interchangeable currently.
So the reason I like 6 cornerbacks is just purely because of special teams. Vrabel mentioned this in one of his press conferences, that they have a lot of faith in Ryan Stonehouse to punt the ball long, and they need gunners to really run down there and get to the ball and beat some of those double team jammings on the punt team. And so I think guys like Trey Avery and Chris Jackson, who are lower on that depth chart, they got some significant time due to injury last year. I think that they're going to be important keys. But overall, I really like what Joe Rexrode has here. Obviously outside of George Fant, he got signed by the Texans, and then also they pick up Hubbard instead. And also the whole running back and edge rusher thing. I just think edge rusher is much more important. So we will have to see with that. But coming up next, we are going to have the Predators' 7th round pick, David Poyle's last ever draft selection as Predators GM. We're going to speak with Aiden Fink coming up next. You're listening to Riddle and the Reporter on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
All the big plays.
And we are done. Vandy 24-21.
All the big stories.
I'm sure Vandy will be a much better team if Clark Lee is the coach.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
What a stop by UC Sarah.
Then he wouldn't end up on my team.
Driving his way to victory lane.
I think that's the right strategy.
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey guys, it's Mike at Newton Chevrolet GMC in Shelbyville. It's finally starting to warm up out there, right? You know what that means. Warmer temperatures mean the need for AC units to be ready to go. Is your car's AC unit not keeping up with the summer sun? Or are you relying on the open windows to keep you cooled off? Maybe it's time for an upgrade. And we've got you covered like sunscreen on a lifeguard's nose. If you're looking for a reliable pre-owned car, we've got over 75 of them starting under $17,000. And most of our used vehicles are covered with Newton certified pre-owned warranty so that you'll even have more peace of mind. If you want more of an upgrade, our new car selection of Chevys and GMCs is waiting for you. From trucks to reliable SUVs and everything in between. If you want a new Chevy Silverado, the savings start at $5,000 off. So shop our selection today. Don't keep sweating your way through summer. Get a great AC upgrade from Newton Chevrolet GMC in Shelbyville. Visit NewtonChevroletGMC.com today. That's NewtonChevroletGMC.com. Every car comes with an AC unit, but the windows do roll down automatically if you prefer that warm summer breeze in your hair.
I Am a Difference Maker is helping families with overwhelming financial crises, ranging from medical bills, drug and alcohol addiction, sexual abuse, natural disasters, suicide prevention, and much more. They're a small grassroots 501c3 created to help people in times of need before life becomes unbearable. I Am a Difference Maker believes that through working together, we can connect with each other and strengthen the community through the love that is shared. 100% of donations go to families in need. Find out more at IamADifferenceMaker.today.
It's a long summer. But don't worry. Hockey will be back soon. You'll hear every slap shot, save, hit, and of course,
knocked down in front, rebound, and a score!
On your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app. Is it October yet? You're listening to Riddle and the Reporter on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back into Riddle and the Reporter. This segment, we got a very special guest coming on with us. Predators 7th round pick. You're going to hear it locally in a trivia question somewhere, some way in a couple of years. Who was David Poyle's last ever selection? We got Aiden Fink on the show with us. Aiden, how are we doing this morning?
We're doing well. How are we doing there?
Now we're doing great. It's a beautiful day up here in Nashville. Where are you at around this time of year?
I'm in Penn State right now, so it's a little rainy out right now, but I'm sure the weather will pick up by the afternoon here.
So, Aiden, I got to ask you here, man. You know, going through the draft, the Predators had to make a trade with the New Jersey Devils to move up and come and get you. When you were selected by the Predators and David Poyle in Nashville, did you realize at the time the significance of that pick when you were selected?
Yeah, actually, it was a weird story. I was just getting out of LA class when I got the call from my agent when that happened. So I didn't really know it was a big deal until my dad sent me the video of David Poyle's last pick, and you know it's a special pick and I'm going to be a special player for him.
Absolutely. So you know were you here at all for the draft in Nashville, or did you stay away?
No, I was actually in Penn State. I started school about 2 days earlier, so it was a weird experience, but it was an awesome experience that I'll never forget.
So what is something that you've heard about Nashville, maybe about the Predators organization in general, that really attracts you to the team? And also just something personally, like what's something about Nashville in general that you've heard or seen about that you look forward to going and doing once you get here?
Yeah, obviously the fans in Nashville are unbelievable. You know, those playoff games. I love to watch Nashville playoffs games. It's always electric in that rink. So yeah, that's something I'm very excited about. And then just Nashville, I've heard it's a great city. You know, fans and everyone, the organization is awesome, I heard. So, you know, I'm really excited to be a part of Nashville's organization.
Aiden, thank you so much for joining us this morning, but I want to start off here with you as well, and I know that you just came out of playing in the Alberta Junior Hockey League not that long ago, the last 2 seasons there. You're at Penn State like you had mentioned, but I like to circle back here. I saw you initially had committed to Wisconsin, but now you flipped over to Penn State, made that transition for you, but I'm curious, what kind of led to that just movement for you going into your freshman year?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the coach that recruited me at Wisconsin got fired, unfortunately. Tony Granato, he's an awesome guy, and I wish I would play for him, but that happened, and then Penn State kind of just gained my attention, and then I just talked to my agent about it, and I think Penn State would be the best move for me. So that's kind of what changed my mind, but I'm excited to be here. We're going to have a really good team this year, and we're going to try to win a national championship again this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Colin Graff from Dev Camp, that was an invite, has tons of experience with that, so that might be a good little link for you, and you might see him some this year. But yeah, Aiden, so I know that back at Dev Camp, I kind of want to circle back here as well, is just what were your main takeaways from camp, and who are maybe some guys that you kind of maybe learned from during your time here in Nashville?
Yeah, I mean, the whole coaching staff, all those practices, all those track events, all those workouts were a good, definitely a good lesson that I could take here to Penn State. The guys that were there were all great to me. Even the players. My cousin was there. He was drafted, I think, in 2020. His name's Luke Reed. That was real nice to see him and learn after him. I learned after everyone. I've definitely taken a lot of things from that camp back to Penn State that I'm going to work on.
And Aiden, too, kind of going back, I had already mentioned you were coming from the AJHL, and you've done quite a bit of winning over there from what I've noticed. So what are kind of just the main takeaways that you had as a younger skater playing in a league that is pretty renowned over there in Western Canada?
Yeah, I mean, Brooks is a great organization. The last 2 years were one of the best years of my life in terms of winning. I had really good records in the two years, played with really good players. We were a winning organization, won two national championships with them. So, I'm very excited that I played there. I wouldn't have wanted to play anywhere else, definitely for my junior hockey.
So, Aiden, I got one last one here for you. You're in a group of freshmen. You're one of 5 guys on the roster that'll be fresh faces to the team. And I'm just kind of curious, what do you hope to get out of your first-year experience playing NCAA hockey under head coach Guy Godowski?
Yeah, I definitely want to learn after Guy. He's a fantastic coach. I've talked to him a couple times already this summer just about the team and all that. So, I'm definitely very excited to learn after the freshmen and all the upperclassmen. I think that's going to be my biggest thing on the ice. I think it's going to be a battle every day. So that's what I'm most excited for there. And Gad is an unbelievable coach. Same with Pegs and Fish. So they're definitely going to develop me, and I'm very excited for my however many years I have here.
We're talking to Aiden Fink, 7th-round pick for the Nashville Predators. Aiden, when you were here for developmental camp, is there any of the other young prospects for the Preds that you kind of built a relationship with and maybe just had some natural chemistry with when you all played and practiced in your time here?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's a great player there. I couldn't pick one that I had chemistry with. I had chemistry every time I went in a drill. So I couldn't pick one player, but I could pick the whole team, the whole prospects there. So.
Absolutely. And so before, being drafted by the Predators, were there any of the veterans on the team that you grew up watching, grew up looking up to, maybe modeling your game after? Did you ever catch any Preds games and be like, man, I really like this player. This guy's really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's I live in Canada, so it's pretty tough for me to get Preds games. But definitely a couple guys. I loved watching, even though he's a goalie, I loved watching Pekka Rinne. He was an unbelievable player. I didn't really get to catch a lot of Preds games, but I just know that their fans and their organization is very great.
Appreciate the time today, Aiden. That's Aiden Fink, 7th-round pick for the Nashville Predators. Thank you for joining us, and best of luck with your season in college hockey playing for Penn State.
Thanks, Aiden.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Again, Aiden Fink, 7th-round pick of the Nashville Predators. And, you were talking about Aiden at developmental camp, and he was one of the guys that you really looked at as somebody that was making an impact when he came in. So as a 7th-round pick, that might be a really good grab for this team going forward.
I think it could be. And going into just his first year at Penn State, that's notable. And keep in mind, too, what he said there that kind of stood out to me was he wants to see how these next few years go. And what I'm kind of getting from that is you just never know the kind of leap that you can take in your own development, because he could sign that first deal. He could end up being with the Preds organization and playing with the Admirals or playing in the ECHL, trying to grind his way up to the NHL at some point. And so the Preds have had some success here in the last few years, I would say, from those later draft picks. I mean, look at what the Predators got out of Juuso Parssinen. And that's a good point, too. I completely forgot that his cousin is Reed. And I saw that kind of, happen during camp. And looking back at what Aiden was able to do at camp, I believe he was quick. He was on the pucks as fast as possible. Not only that, but he was accurate. And when you're accurate at camp and you stand out to the coaches, that's going to go a long way. And not only are you in front of Barry Trotz and some of the guys that you're looking at in terms of maybe some scouts, you're also in front of Carl Taylor, who's also in the AHL too, but you're also working on the ice with the Milwaukee Admirals assistant coaches. So they've seen it firsthand. I think Aiden will be an explosive player as a freshman on Penn State's offense. I'm not sure if he'll be the best forward on their offense, but he's going to have to earn his stripes here, I feel like, here in the next few weeks as he gets going, because they'll end up starting their season pretty soon. And I'm pretty positive, I haven't looked at their schedule, but he will more than likely be going up against a guy like Matthew Wood in college.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. Does Penn State play UConn this year? And if so, is that a game that we're going to have to tune into? I mean, definitely looking at it here. Now, I'm looking at some of his stats that he had with the Brooks Bandits in the AJHL. 54 games, 97 points.
I know. He tore it up.
Is that common? Is this just a really small league or something? Because he lit that league up.
So funny enough, I think it wasn't Ryan Johansson, but Ryan Johansson played in a similar league. It's a smaller league. It's not semi-pro. It's kind of like the step you take before you go play like juniors, kind of like where Tanner Mollendijk and some of these other kids from Canada got drafted. So you'll play there when you're kind of around like that high school age. You'll get some guys that are close to like their 20s that are playing there, but they're all really young. But the fact that he put up that many points in less than 60 games, 50-something games, it's impressive.
So, again, that's 97 total points in 54 games, 41 goals, 56 assists. And just in comparison, looking at his stats on the same team in the same league, the year prior he played in 60 games and only had 53 points total. So a really, really big job. I mean, you're talking about 44 more points the following season and playing in 6 less games.
I know. He went off. And that was one thing when I looked him up a couple months ago to see what he was kind of looking like. He could be another steal for the Preds in the later parts of the draft. It'll take him a couple of years. I feel like some of these guys that are in school, another guy too is Sutter Muzzati, who's in college too. Some of the kids that are in college, let them go through their years. Let them go through what it's like to be a college kid. Aiden's fresh into it. I think he'll be there for a couple of years. He's going to take school probably a little more seriously, which is good for him. But also, too, of note, he wants to go in a national championship. Colin Graff, he was a guy I just did a story on, and he did win the national championship with Quinnipiac. And that was probably a guy he looked at during camp. Colin was a bigger skater than him, but he knows what it takes to win. So now he's seen what some of these guys look like and what the pace looks like. But, two, Penn State was in the NCAA tournament last year. They ended up losing in overtime to Michigan, but then Michigan ended up playing against, I believe, Quinnipiac in the next round after they beat them. So they were right there. So it could have been something special for Penn State. they're probably going to build on that as best as they can, and Aiden's going to be part of it.
It's going to be definitely something we're going to be looking forward towards the future, watching Aiden and how he progresses. And, this is going to give us some college hockey to look forward to this upcoming season, especially as the Predators, rookie camp comes up in the next couple weeks. We are going to keep you informed no matter how excited we are about football season started. We always got to make sure that we're keeping up with some of these awesome young Preds prospects. But coming up next, we are going to be diving into the Titans training camp, the next 2 segments, and we're going to be talking about some of the positives and some of the negatives. We're going to start with the positives. 615-737-1025 is our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. We want you to hop into this conversation with some of our takeaways. You're listening to Riddle and the Reporter here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
They combine hard-hitting journalism.
The Titans asked Kevin Byard to take a pay cut.
Strong-willed opinions.
There's hot takes and then there's weird takes. Yeah. This is a weird take.
And sometimes some old man takes.
I'm excited about it. So do I gyrate embarrassingly?
To create the perfect morning show, they are Robbie and Rex Road. Mornings from 6 to 9. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, what's up? It's Chase McCabe, and we're changing the game. Help your bets stay hot this summer at Superbook Sports, the most trusted name in sports gambling with a direct line to Las Vegas. And now when you use the promo code THEGAME, you score up to $250 with their first bet bonus. Win or lose, Superbook will match your first bet up to $250 when you use the promo code THEGAME. Download the Superbook Sports app, enter the promo code THEGAME, and you'll get $250 courtesy of Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Calling a criminal defense lawyer or a divorce lawyer, you may think it's the worst day of your life. It doesn't have to be. If you have quality, competent representation who can guide you through a complex system, we can do that for you. Despite if you've been arrested for a DUI or a robbery charge, whether or not you're going through a divorce or a post-divorce, or demanding your fundamental constitutional right to parent your children. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
AM radio provides always-on news, sports, talk, traffic, and weather reports. And it's also a vital service that provides important emergency information when your community needs it most. Tell Congress you need AM radio to stay in your car. Because when cell phones and the internet are down, this free emergency service is critical. And when you don't have electricity, radio in the car is often your only lifeline. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
94.9 The Fan is your home for Hit City.
Today, your Nashville Sounds continue their 6-game series at Norfolk. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Sounds win. Pre-game at 10:50
on your home of Nashville Sounds baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
You're listening to Riddle and the Reporter.
The conversation is sparkling
on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What does D-Hop bring to the wide receiver room?
Confidence, and really everything. He just shows you, just be yourself. That's the main thing. Being yourself, just going out and having fun, and it shows. Him going up, making plays, and coming back, doing it again. It just shows that he's just having fun, doing what he loves to do, and just saying that just makes you want all to do the same. So.
In media, we call this talking season. It's just.
That was Traylon Burks talking to Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace yesterday from Titans training camp. And he was asked, what does DeAndre Hopkins bring to this team? And Traylon Burks simply said, he brings confidence. I like that answer from Traylon Burks. And I like what I've been seeing from DeAndre Hopkins. And this segment we teased beforehand, we're going to talk about the positives that we saw. You and I were there on Wednesday. We were not there yesterday. So a few different things happened. We can get into that a little bit. But what we saw from positives on Wednesday, the number one takeaway for me was I saw a lot of reps with Ryan Tannehill to DeAndre Hopkins, Traylon Burks, Chig Okonkwo, and my X factor this season, Kyle Phillips.
Yeah, they looked really good. And there's a lot to look into in terms of Chig, I feel like. And Robbie's called shot on Friday. This was crazy, but I think it could happen.
Okay.
Chig Okonkwo will lead the Titans in touchdowns this year.
Oh, I don't think that's crazy at all.
I think that is a bold pick for sure, but I also want to see for myself what a motivated DeAndre Hopkins looks like, and I'm seeing it currently because remember, too, some of these things are incentive-based for his contract. And he's going to try to squeeze every little ounce of money he probably can out of the Two-Tone Blue organization. And that is something I'm going to always consider when it's DeAndre, but also how healthy he can be. And I feel like after missing 6 games this year, it's kind of like when you're making time up, from break or something, or you have that time that you want to utilize now that you have it back. Well, he didn't have 6 games last year.
Yeah.
It's time for him to explode, I feel like, offensively. So I'm excited to see what D-Hop brings. I felt like the other connection, too, that you didn't bring up that I was watching more of was the quarterbacks. And you and I watched extensively how they were making reads, how they were making throws, who they were throwing them to. And I felt like, yes, Malik has made progress. That was the biggest positive for me specifically with him. He was making progress on his reads, but he's still taking his time pass by pass, play by play, looking for those guys. I know it's not necessarily the same guys that Tannehill is throwing to.
Yeah.
However, it's his progression. It's his progress. He was looking okay. I felt like at the start, I felt like the defense challenged him even more so as we went along. But I felt like, too, that Levis, he looked comfortable in his own skin, too. And I felt like the confidence that is oozing from him based on from some of his workouts, carrying it into what they're doing now, it's a really interesting battle to pay close attention to. I mean, after last year, seeing what Malik was able to do against the Chiefs, yeah, it's one great game you can see. It was a loss. They challenged Mahomes and the Chiefs, but now it's about expounding on what you can do in the preseason and training camp, and I feel like that's going to be a pretty close battle.
So Jim Wyatt came on the other day, and he was talking about Willis versus Levis. So, Frazier, if we could go to that audio on Wyatt talking about this quarterback battle in the preseason.
Winner gets QB2. I mean, how close do you think this is right now?
Yeah, it's interesting because I'll be honest with you. I mean, I don't know. I think Willis, from the time the offseason started, I think at the beginning, I think a lot of people had a lot of doubts about him and whether he'd be on this roster this year and, how quickly would it be before, Willis just took over that 2 spot and didn't look back. And then the way his offseason went, I mean, I thought he looked good in all of these OTAs and the mini camp, and very clear he made progress. And then watching Willis, I mean, I think he showed some growing pains, and he's a rookie. That was kind of to be expected, and the conversation kind of changed. Sitting here today, July the 27th, I mean, as camp just gets away, I mean, I kind of feel like now they're going to keep 3 quarterbacks, and how that's quickly they feel like they've got to decide who the 2 is going to be. I'm not sure. I do think that's all you're going to see in the preseason. I don't think we see Ryan Tannehill at all. I'd be surprised if we did. And I kind of feel like entering camp, Willis is the 2, and I think he'll get some of the early reps in these games, and they'll give both guys a chance. That's what they did last year when it was Willis and Woodside. So, I'm curious to see how it looks when things really get real. And you've got games, you've got joint practices against the Vikings and the Patriots, and there's more pressure on both of these guys, and that's what's going to make preseason and training camp fun this year, is just to kind of see how that goes with the 2 QBs.
So that was Jim Wyatt talking to Robbie and Rex Road about the backup quarterback battle, and that was one of the positive takes away. Now, we were not at practice yesterday, but I heard from, when Jared was on yesterday, I was out there with him at Homegrown, and he had mentioned that Joe said that neither of them looked really good yesterday. So, again, it's one day. They're going to have their ups and downs, but, and I talked about this with Derek on Wednesday when we were there at practice, that I thought both of them looked really good. To start, you had mentioned they were doing that whole, drop step drill when they were going, weaving through the dummies and then throwing into those little target pockets that have been circulating all over social media. And Willis does really good with that drill. And I was like, okay, Willis is looking really sharp with that. And Levis always seems to struggle in that drill, overthrowing it. And I heard him yell out in frustration. I was like, okay, here we go. But then when we got into, 7-on-7, like you alluded to, you and I were sitting together on the sidelines, and we were kind of making our observations from that. And every single time Willis dropped back, after I noticed his first rep, I started counting. I'd be like 1, Mississippi 2, Mississippi 3.
You did.
And in the NFL, and I mean really in any kind of elite football, whenever, you know that you got to get the ball out within 3 seconds.
Yes.
And yes, Willis did look very much so improved. Everything about his game looked better. But the one thing that I need to see him do is to make more clear-cut, fast decisions. And on Wednesday, from what I saw, Will Levis did that slightly better. I think right now, a lot of people are putting Willis ahead because he looked better in OTAs and in minicamp. But I think, going into training camp, these two guys are neck and neck. And from what I was being told by some members of the media there at camp, that apparently they're really close. Although they're competing, that they're really good friends and that they're going to be motivating each other to do well. And I love that. I think that's a good, healthy competition that we're going to see. And I look forward to seeing who's going to be the best man that's going to win.
And you know what, too? I think the beautiful part to all of this is it's a good problem to have if you are Mike Vrabel. But I do want to see how the preseason goes, Junie. It's been a fun battle to watch so far.
I will say this before we go to the top of the hour. Once the pads come on, once those pads are put on the shoulders of these quarterbacks, we'll definitely know who's going to be the man amongst boys.
Absolutely.
I'll put it to you this way. Last year when they drafted Malik Willis, I was ultra excited to watch Titans preseason. This year with Levis and Willis, I mean, my excitement has doubled since then. So I'm going to be really watching every single preseason game just to watch all these reps that both of these guys are going to have. So good positive takeaways on the offense. But there were some negatives. And there was a negative in a position that I have been talking about for months, and there's a specific player that I have got to call out. We're going to get into that next. Hour number 2 of Riddle and the Reporter coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game is live and local.
And now, let's meet the starting lineups.
Robbie and Rex Road 6 to 9.
Big time performance, best part of the team.
Chase McCabe 9 to 11.
An unrestricted free agent.
Caroline, Willie, and D Mace 11 to 2.
Got the big contract.
The Velvet Touch.
Talk about Hall of Famers.
And Stillman and Company 2 to 6.
Kept going for it.
And don't forget, we're your home for all things Smashville.
He scored!
Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
3 days of racing, 3 days of music, one huge weekend event. The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix is not just a race or a festival, it's an experience. Multiple music stations with Flo Rida, Vince Neil, Chris Jansen, Gavin DeGraw, and more. Fast cars going over 200 miles an hour. And a family fun zone with inflatables, Ferris wheels, kids games, and kid-friendly food trucks. Tickets and premium hospitality are on sale now. Go to MusicCityGP.com for tickets and get ready to experience Nashville's premier speed and sound event.
Nashville's best deal of the week is Joyland in East Nashville. Joyland is a fun new concept by celebrity chef Sean Brock, inspired by his love for cheeseburgers, shakes, buttermilk biscuits, fries, and fried chicken. Get half off a $30 gift card at theGameNashville.com/deals and enjoy the best burger in town. Find some joy today and eat Joyland for half off with Nashville's best deal of the week. That's theGameNashville.com/deals. Nashville's Best Deals is a great place to save cash fast. Get up to half off or more on dining and entertainment at theGameNashville.com/deals. Check back often for new featured deals and save money now at theGameNashville.com/deals.
Hey, it's John Tesh. You know why insurance companies use all those cute and funny characters? To distract you from realizing you're only getting one option. If you want to compare prices, you're forced to visit multiple websites just to get one quote at a time. But not with Xander Insurance, because they work for you. Xander is a broker that shops dozens of top companies to find the best competitive rates for the coverage you need, and they keep reviewing your policy every year to make sure you're getting the best value. They're always available to answer questions, handle problems, and make sure that when it comes to insurance, your life is simple and hassle-free. You even have direct access to their senior management team. If your current company or agent doesn't do this much for you, let Xander Insurance help. Compare rates online at Xander.com or call 800-356-1780 for that personal touch. When Xander works for you, you're going to see the difference. Again, that's 800-356-1780, or you can visit Xander.com with no characters needed.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Bobby and Rex Road. Chase McCabe.
Caroline, Willie, D-Bays.
Stone and Company.
Nashville's best sports talk.
Crank it up.
102.5 and 106.3.
Rebound and a score.
Make every play perfect.
Touchdown, Middle Tennessee.
We're going to win.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Great discussion on the big topics in sports. This is Riddle and the Reporter with Junie Riddle and Nick Keyser on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hour number 2 of Riddle and the Reporter, live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. Junie Riddle, Nick Keyser, Nick Frazier behind the glass. You can watch us streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook live every day. Our video streaming is brought to you by Superbook Sports. Download their app and use the promo code THEGAME today. We just got into the positives of what we saw in Titans training camp. We didn't even get into the front seven, but they've been looking good. The backup quarterback competition is very intriguing. In the top 4 receiving weapons, D-Hop, Traylon, Chig, and Kyle Phillips, all looking good so far with the first-team reps at Ryan Tannehill. But now we're going to get into the negatives.
Womp.
And there are a few things that I want to get into, one of which was a surprise to me.
Yep.
And the other one, not so much of a surprise.
I think I know where you're going to go with this.
So the not-so-surprise has been the offensive line. And obviously, it's been a little bit down with the Nicholas Petit-Frere suspension. Who's going to play right tackle? They didn't end up going with George Fant, and they wound up signing Chris Hubbard.
Yep.
Who I'm not very high on. I thought he had a couple good years when he came in due to injury back in 2017 through 2019 with the Steelers and Browns. He had some solid outings for a backup back then, but hasn't really done much since. Has been dealing with injury, kind of getting older. But the main guy that I have got an issue with, man,
here we go.
I'm going to tell you this. It's looking ugly the first 2 days. I saw it in person on Wednesday. I saw it all over Twitter yesterday. And that is the new signing, outside linebacker, Arden Key has been absolutely destroying another free agent they brought in, left tackle Andre Dillard.
Yep.
He has been taking his lunch money at practice, and it has got me concerned.
It really does concern me too. And they're pairing them up. It's ironic that they're both free agent acquisitions, and they're pairing them up against one another. And that's probably the evaluation you planned on having, but not necessarily the outtake you want to have currently. And moving forward with what we've seen so far, I'm not sure what Andre's going through. I'm not sure if he's been challenged with this before in a camp. But look, he doesn't look like he has his big boy pants on as tight as maybe he should. But with the challenges that are coming with training camp, and albeit, yes, they don't have the full pads on yet, but it still doesn't make me feel any better that he's getting toasted by the defense so far. And you brought up a great example. I mean, I was right there standing there, and when I was watching the linemen get work in defense and offense, really, they all looked like it was just mechanical work. But then when it got into the nitty-gritty, that was the one area I was not happy with once we started seeing those one-on-ones. It was just not encouraging.
I will say a surprising guy that actually did look really good. Why is his name
Well, I think I know where you're going with this, and I'll let you pull up his name.
I'm sorry, Aaron Brewer. I don't know why I just blanked on Aaron Brewer's name, but Aaron Brewer actually looked pretty solid. But when it comes down to Skoronski, I didn't really see much from him.
No.
I guess since he didn't stand out, I think that might be a good sign. But Daniel Brunskill, I mean, he's got a tall task in training camp. Going up against Jeff Simmons is rough, and Jeff Simmons is definitely getting the edge on him. So I don't think there's a surprise there.
No.
But overall, the offensive line has probably been one of the weaker points of this training camp so far. But another position that I've had an issue with, and I kind of alluded this a little bit earlier, have been the corners. One-on-one drills, 7-on-7. Ryan Tannehill has been having his way with them. And one in particular that I've had an issue with is Sean Murphy bunting. I feel like every video that I've seen from yesterday, what I saw in person on Wednesday, he was getting targeted and tested a lot. By Tannehill and with some of those first-team reps. And for somebody that he can play both the nickel and outside corner position, he was starting out on the outside, and he was getting toasted by D-Hop, Traylon. Like all of them were kind of having their way with him, and that causes some concern with me. That the corners, all in all, have been struggling. Even Christian Fulton a little bit has gotten some passes on. I know we're talking about DeAndre Hopkins here,
sure,
but still, some of the other corners getting the best of him, or some of the other receivers getting the best of him. That's not an area on this roster that I had circled as a problem, but the first couple days, I'm like, they need to step it up a bit.
Yeah, and look, and I'm glad Frazier messaged this to us. Andre Dillard versus Chance Campbell. That was one that I went back to the other day, and when I saw that clip, I thought it epitomized perfectly what it kind of looked like. And if you didn't get to see it, go check it out on Twitter at Teron Davenport, I believe is his Twitter handle, or just search Teron Davenport. But look, then they're out there right now too, and we're seeing a couple of these different plays kind of occur currently. But yeah, Junie, just to kind of piggyback off of what you just said, I was really confident. Like, I think my biggest takeaway, I know we're talking about kind of the negatives here, but to kind of go off of it is it's a good sign to see Traylon be a dog right now. It's good to see him be that guy that wants to help take over the offense. D-Hop said, I'm going to try to make your all's wide receiver room, easy anywhere. Make your job easy. He's going to do that. But I feel like when you have 2-3 guys, the Titans have their weapons. They're very confident with what they have. And I feel like, too, I don't know why I feel negative on this whatsoever, But I feel like, and it's not going to be something we're going to be able to see until maybe even week 1 or the first few weeks come and go. I'm not questioning, I had Kevin Byard, number 3, on my list for Titans to watch out for when I was filling in for Robbie earlier this week on Robbie and Rexroy with Joe. We were talking about 5 guys that stand out. And I know that on my list, I had Kevin Byard at number 3. I actually had him ahead of DeAndre Hopkins just because I know what I'm getting out of D-Hop. And the reason that Kevin's interesting to me is, he's got a lot of these headlines around him. He had to take a pay cut, and he's here helping make this team better. But I really want to see how consistent he is back there on defense. I don't think it was necessarily negative, Junie, but I do want to see how much he can capitalize as a veteran. Can he maintain composure? Can he maintain the same type of play? I think he can.
I think he definitely can.
And I want to see if he can maintain that elite level on defense and lead it. So I know that there's no question to his leadership necessarily, but I feel like given the age of what the AFC South looks like, I feel like for him, it's going to be about the reads he's able to make. And so I want to see that in training camp. Can he continue to shut down Tannehill's offense?
So when you got here, I was scrambling, doing some stats, and I was like, nobody talk to me while I'm calculating these numbers.
You got one for me?
And I do. Last season, there were 7 games in which Christian Fulton, Amani Hooker, and Kevin Byard all played together to where they were all healthy. Only 7 out of 17 games. In those 7 games, the Titans averaged allowing 248.4 yards, 248 yards a game, and only 19.7 points per game.
Okay.
In all the other games, which was 10 total, when one of those guys were out of the mix, they allowed 313.2 yards per game and 22.1 points. So a 3-point difference and well over 60-yard difference when it comes to yardage per game. And just to let you know, the league average is 223 yards per game. So the Titans secondary really needs to take a step forward this year. And this is kind of what I'm kind of going into. So the secondary right now is a concern for me. The offensive line is a concern for me. But as a roster in total, where the Titans are right now, I am much higher on them with the acquisition of D-Hop. I think they're like a fringe playoff team, which there's a lot of fringe playoff teams in the AFC. They're right in the mix with his addition. But the one thing that I think that can kill this team is its lack of depth.
I think so too. And, it's funny. I'm just now talking about KB. Well, Teron throws out a tweet that says Ryan Tannehill had 3 incompletions in 7-on-7. Kevin Byard knocking down a pass deep to Traylon Burks, and Christian Fulton also was right there on coverage with Nick Westbrook-Akine on a go route. Fulton came back and broke up a pass in the middle against Kyle Phillips. So it looks like the defense is kind of just living up to what they need to be currently, which is a good sign in practice. I like the aggressiveness. I like the competitiveness I saw from training camp. It's only going to continue to get better as we go along.
So, and I agree with you completely. The only thing about this is the last 2 seasons this team has led the NFL with injuries. With this roster, the way it is constructed right now, they are built to compete this season.
Yes.
I am scared that injuries could hold this team back again. I don't want to see it because really when this team is healthy, I think that they could be scary to a lot of AFC teams. Maybe not to the media and what they see, but the NFL knows the Titans are going to be competitive and they're going to be a tough out.
And they could be that
healthy.
team they could be that team that is shockingly going to be that underdog that goes farther in the playoffs than what most fans thought of initially.
I agree. Tune into Nashville Sounds Baseball today at 5:35 on 94.9 The Fan. The Sounds take on the Norfolk Tides, AAA affiliate of the Baltimore Orioles. They'll wrap up their series against the Tides tomorrow at 3:05 p.m. Sounds Baseball on 94.9 The Fan is presented by 312 Pizza Company, Farm Bureau Health Plans, and Family Leisure. Coming up next, we are going to do a segment that I have been itching to do. Last Sunday, the Titans unveiled their new Oilers uniforms that they're going to wear against the Falcons and Texans at home this season. So guess what we're about to do? We're going to do a top 10 rankings of NFL throwback jerseys that we are going to see this upcoming season. You are listening to Riddle and the Reporter here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
It's going down. They fight.
Jared, you're how do you know, Joe? How do you know?
And fight.
And because of that,
how do you know that, though? How do you know that?
But that's okay. It's Jared and Joe. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m., Jared Stillman and Joe Rexroad debate the big topics in sports. Jared versus Joe. Presented by Pella Windows and Doors and Parman Tractor and Equipment on Stillman and Company. Wednesdays at 5 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
We buy any car.
Selling your car by yourself can lead to some strange encounters.
So how many bodies does this car hold? Bodies? It's a 5-passenger car. Right. Passengers.
Don't deal with selling it yourself. Come to WeBuyAnyCar.com instead. It's easy. You get in, get out, and get paid at a fair price.
I sell mannequins. Oh, what'd you think? Nothing. Nothing at all.
Get your free online valuation now at
WeBuyAnyCar.com.
Hey, it's John Tesh. You want to know how to get better rates, better coverage, and better service on your home and auto insurance? Work with Zander Insurance. I know it's a big promise, but this team delivers. They've been around for almost 100 years and have earned the privilege of representing dozens of insurance companies so they can shop, compare, and find you the best options available. More options mean more savings, and in many cases, better coverage. But it doesn't stop there. Each year, they review your coverage to make sure your rates stay competitive. Nobody else does that. And when it comes to service, just check out their ratings. Zander is one of the top agencies in the industry, and they earned that spot with their commitment to making sure their clients are taken care of like family. That's what sets them apart. Go to Zander.com for quick online quotes or call 800-356-1780 for that personal touch that you've been missing.
For more than 100 years, Lincoln Tech's NADC in Nashville has helped people transform their lives by learning the skills they need to build a brighter future. While the skills, tools, and jobs have changed, one thing hasn't. Lincoln's ability to adapt their auto, diesel, and heavy equipment maintenance programs to meet the hiring needs of America's employers. Put your potential to work and enroll now for July classes at Lincoln Tech's NADC. Visit lincolntech.edu for info and to schedule a campus tour.
Be sure to subscribe to the Riddle and the Reporter podcast on Apple, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms. You're listening to Riddle and the Reporter on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This week's Nashville's best deal is Joyland in East Nashville. Joyland burgers will melt in your mouth. The fries are crispy goodness, and the milkshakes are sure to satisfy any sweet tooth. Get half off a $30 gift card today at thegamenashville.com/deals while supplies last. All right. I'm ready for it. The music is going. Let it keep rolling, Frazier. Let it roll. This is the music I grew up listening to for highlights with Boomer. And I wanted to do it for this top 10. So, let's get started with my top 10 throwback uniforms. We're going to start with 10 through 5 on this segment. And next segment, we're going to do 5 through 1.
All right.
Number 10.
Number 10. Jets 80s all-white uniforms. I like them. I don't love them, okay? I like it when the Jets have the white helmets. I think the white face mask on the green helmets, though, is what pops for me. And the different logo, it has the little jet wing on the helmet. It looks really, really good to me. And when I saw Aaron Rodgers in that uniform, I was like, okay. I hope that they do these throwback uniforms against another team on this list that I'm going to be mentioning here soon. So Jets 80s all-white uniforms come in at number 10.
Okay. My number 10.
Okay.
Really quickly. Dolphins 1972. I like those.
Ooh.
Those are clean. I really like them. So I know I'm going to have a couple of little ones I want to throw in here too, but that's where I want to start with me at number 10. The Dolphins. It gives me the Dan Marino vibes a little bit, so that's where I want to start at number 10, but we're moving on.
All righty.
Number 9.
All right, number 9. I got the Vikings 60s and 70s uniforms.
Oh.
Okay. I think so the difference in shade of purple is the one thing that I just don't like about this. I think
Really?
that the darker purple helmet with the lighter purple jerseys, it just doesn't do it for me. But it has a little bit more flash and flair than the Jets' 80s all-white uniforms. So I put them at number 9. I'm not the biggest fan of them, though. I know a lot of people really do like those. But for me, I don't know. It just wasn't the best. But, it brings me back to the whole Fran Tarkenton era when the Vikings were going and losing in a bunch of Super Bowls. But still, I mean, Purple People Eaters, that was the best.
Okay.
So, like the Vikings uniforms at number 9.
Okay, so for me, I'm gonna go Patriots 1984. So
What?
those are those red ones.
At 9?
Yeah, well, you have Vikings really low. You should wait to hear where I have the Vikings. But
Oh my
I think the
gosh.
Patriots look. Hey, it's a top 10. It's a top 10. But look, I got the Patriots down there. Now, I had a little debate with myself why I had them there. But look, they're in my top 10 for a good reason. I love them, but I don't know. Like when I see it on television, it just looks a little too much for me. I like the look. They just look like candy canes. I'm like, I don't know about this. They look good in person, but I'm not too big.
I didn't know if I was involved or not, but at number 10 for me, I'm going to take the Cowboys back in the day.
Okay.
And at number 9, I'm going to go the Vikings.
Okay, so we're there on the Vikings. Let's move on.
Number 8.
Number 8 for me is the New York Football Giants. And when I said I was alluding to a throwback matchup with the Jets and Giants, this is the game where I want to see the Jets in their all whites versus the Giants in their home blues. I love this jersey. It reminds me of the movie The Little Giants. Back when Phil Simms was there, Lawrence Taylor, it actually says Giants on the helmets. And the thing I really like is because in the modern day Giants uniforms, you don't see a lot of the red. I like the red outer line on the numbers there. And I think that it just kind of emphasizes the Giants secondary color a little bit more than they do with their modern uniforms. A little too much blue in the modern uniform. So the Giants throwbacks are coming in at number 8 for me.
Okay. 8 for me is the Cowboys. We just touched on the Cowboys from Frazier's pick. So I've got them at 8. Those are their jerseys from 94. So going back to the earlier days a little bit there. So right in that time where, it was before Tony Romo, obviously, but around that time when the Cowboys were, one of the renowned America's teams. That's what I like about them.
Listen, I know you guys both got the Cowboys on your list. I'm just going to go ahead and give spoilers. I left the Cowboys out. They get enough praise all the time.
That's fair.
I'm not giving them.
That's fair.
Frazier, who's your number 8?
The Cleveland Browns.
Ooh, the all-white Cleveland Browns.
All-white Cleveland Browns. I'm going to go at that at number 8. It's a solid number 8.
Okay, listen, I would rather go with the Bengals all-white. I think the Browns mooched off the Bengals there.
I agree.
I think they mooched a little bit. So
that's why they're a little higher up on my list.
Okay, that's fair. Little tease. Coming in at number 7 for me.
Number 7.
Number 7 is going to be the Denver Broncos 70s and 80s uniforms, but with the white helmets. I do prefer the blue helmets, and if they did go with the blue helmets, they might have been a little bit higher on my list. But I think of John Elway in the drive against the Cleveland Browns wearing those old uniforms. They made the switch, and I don't mind the Broncos, more modern uniforms that they switched to in the 90s. But I just think with the D on the helmet, the blue helmets with the orange jerseys, they just popped. They were very simple. They were very to the point. They had the old colors. I just think with the dark navy and the orange doesn't go as well with the lighter blue. Those old uniforms with that Denver D on the side of the helmet, those just look clean and classy to me. So I got Denver coming in at number 7. Like the white helmets, though.
Yes, I like how it gives me the Durham Bulls kind of vibe,
Yeah.
too. Like the throwback that's there, too. For me, it's 7. The mighty team that will not yield, Joe Rex Road. The Detroit Lions, 1934. I love those jerseys. Those are fun to see. Those are up there for me. I love seeing it on television, but more importantly, I like how it's a classic feel for a lot of these teams. They are throwing in some really good twists They're going back in time. It's a hot tub time machine little feel for me with some of these better uniforms.
Had to plug a great movie there.
Oh, lovely. And I will not make any more Ricky Bobby references for a little bit. But look, I will go Lions at number 7. Frazier?
I'm going to take the Jets at number 7.
The Jets. Okay. So why are the Jets higher up in your list than I had them?
Well, the Jets for me, it mentions here the grunge era of the 1990s. And, the Jets haven't really won anything in a while, and I feel like with this roster, this is their grunge effort of going all out. So I feel like it had more of a meaning than the Cleveland Browns for me.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of merit there for sure.
All right, Frazier, moving on.
Number 6.
Number 6, I got the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh, me
with
too.
The red helmet.
Yes, I love that.
Listen, I have always liked the Falcons uniforms, and before they switched them up last year, like the whole Matt Ryan era and the Michael Vick era, I really like those jerseys.
Okay, wait.
They pop for me, but the old jerseys with the red helmets and the old logo, it's so simple, and the color combination with the red and the black just goes so well together. It's such a clean look, and there's not many teams from back in the day that wore that uniform that pop out to me. But simply, I just love the red and black helmet.
Okay,
it's very
so
simple to the point.
I have it there too, but let me ask you, would you change their logo back to that? Because the logo on that, I feel like, is more daunting. They have a good logo.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the ones, it's like you rebrand it. However, here's this old throwback that we did have. But I think based on how it looks, the scheme on the jersey itself, I think it looks good. It's on brand. You would remember it. You would say, oh, that's the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
They look really damn good in those jerseys.
Yeah.
And they play good in them too.
I agree. I don't know. The whole red, super ultra red jerseys for the Falcons, I just think the black look. And I'm one that likes, different color schemes. When a team, I don't know. I get frustrated with the Titans when they wear the all navy. I can't stand it.
Not a huge fan.
I like variation in color. So when you got white pants, black jersey, red helmet, it just looks great. And I agree with you.
Yes.
The old logo is much better. It's clear, more cut of what it is. You kind of have to really search and kind of look at the Falcons' current logo.
Mm-hmm.
I like the old one better. I think it looks a lot better.
Yes.
Number 6 for you, Frazier.
For me, I was kind of torn between this one because I was thinking about the Falcons as well. But I think I'm going to go with the Colts. Their new all-black helmets, you know what I'm talking about?
You're kidding me. Oh, my. That's
God.
That's even worse than putting Pat the Patriot at number 9. You're telling me you're putting the Indianapolis Colts at number 6?
It's different.
It's awful.
Listen,
it looks terrible.
It reminds me of the Duke Blue Devils, their alternate uniforms.
And they go,
right?
It's in the darkness of the night. I am an Indianapolis Colt.
Hey, the reason why I put them at 6 is because the Colts are on the come up with Anthony Richardson.
My God.
So just be aware.
Unbelievable.
Head on a swivel.
No,
you know what?
I think the dark helmet's for dark days ahead, man.
Listen,
top 5 is coming up next, though.
Oh my gosh,
it is. But
I can't believe you just put the Indianapolis Colts. Listen, the helmet's okay. I can do the black helmet, but those jerseys are disgusting. They are so ugly. I can't even believe that somebody came up with that concept and put it out there and thought that would be a good idea.
High percentage on me anchoring on the helmet design.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
I literally can't believe you just said that. All right. Either way. Coming up next, we're going to get into our top 5. The Titans unveiled their Oilers uniforms. I have a feeling that the Oilers uniforms are going to be somewhere in the 3 of ours top 5. So coming up next, tune in to see where we put the Titans Oilers throwbacks. You're listening to Riddle and the Reporter here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
All the big plays.
Rebound, try out in front, and Saros covers it up.
All the big stories.
Andrew Burnett reportedly hired as the next head coach of the Predators.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air.
Comparing goalies to running backs.
46-27 Vanderbilt.
Does this group of players need one?
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Tennessee's tax-free holiday is here. Head to Electronic Express this weekend for great deals on back-to-school essentials, like an HP Ryzen 3 laptop, only $399, or an LG touchscreen laptop, just $749. Electronic Express has laptops, tablets, printers, and more, all tax-free, Friday through Sunday. Don't miss an Apple iMac computer for only $549, or a Samsung tablet, just $119. Shop in-store or online with up to 60-month special financing. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Parman Energy is your one-stop petroleum solution across all of Tennessee, offering turnkey petroleum solutions for professionals in major industries, serving trucking fleets, construction companies, industrial plants, and more. Whether a large corporation or owner-operator, Parman Energy has your diesel fuel, lubricant, DEF, and equipment needs. No matter how you're getting there, start with Parman. Visit ParmanEnergy.com for more info. Your Tennessee petroleum solution, providing totally outrageous customer service.
In any work environment, the culture is the most important thing. And what makes up the culture? The people. And this month at Cromwell Media, we want to highlight a few people who are celebrating their anniversaries with us. Morning show producer on 102.5 The Game, Nick Keyser, is celebrating 2 years. 102.9 The Buzz hosts, Eric Steele and Andy Herring, are celebrating 9 years. Sports producer Kenny Adams is celebrating 11 years. And Derek Mason, one of the greatest receivers in Titans history, is celebrating his anniversary with us on 102.5 The Game as well. If you're looking for a new career, reach out to us at cromwellmedia.com. Love what you do, love where you work.
If you missed the latest from Stillman and Company,
Malik looks like a different guy. Levis, he looked the part. Big, strong arm, completed the passes. I mean, I got to tell you, I think there's a battle for the backup quarterback spot. I know it's one day, and I don't want to say, okay, they're going to keep this guy, cut that guy. I think they're going to carry all three quarterbacks. But the Malik Willis that we saw last year, that Malik Willis against the Texans, the Malik Willis who got benched, that's not who I saw today on the practice field. And the Will Levis who's out there that everybody says, oh, Will Levis sucks, oh, he's terrible, well, Will Levis sucks. He didn't look like that today. That's my big takeaway from the start of training camp. There is a battle for the backup quarterback spot, and it actually looks like the Titans might have some quarterbacks.
Stillman and Company, weekdays from 2 to 6 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Here we go, in and out of the huddle.
Training camp is underway in the Music City.
We want to try to make sure that we're developing a team.
And we have you covered.
Could Peter Skoronsky be an option at tackle?
How quickly can DeAndre Hopkins get going? We'll be broadcasting live from training camp with the latest news and storylines from practice.
Ryan Tannehill in the last year of a contract. It's a different team. It's a different roster.
Training camp coverage is brought to you by the Simmons Bank Open, Caudill Vet Clinic, and Parman Energy on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Riddle and the Reporter.
The conversation is sparkling
on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Tune in to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game for weekly driver interviews leading up to the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix presented by Lincoln Tech's NADC in the Nashville Sheriff. The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix will be 3 days of racing, 3 days of music, one huge weekend event. Go to themusiccitygp.com for tickets and get ready to experience Nashville's premier speed and sound event on August 4th through the 6th. We just went through our top 10 through 6 on the throwback and new uniforms that the NFL has unveiled. Now we are going to get into our top 5.
Let's do it.
Fraser, hit
Number 5.
Number 5. I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers creamsicle uniforms. Not going to lie. As a kid, when they came out with these, I did not like them.
Really?
I did not like them. But as I got older and I saw the history of them and the losing streak that they went into, I've been like, okay, these are very historical. These are very different.
Yes.
No other team is ever going to wear this color scheme. And I grew to like them over time. And especially when Tom Brady went there and then you saw all those those makeups and photoshopping him in one of those uniforms, and then to actually see them and come out and how clean they look, I was like, okay, Okay, I can get down with some Buccaneers
So
creamsicle jerseys.
I initially thought about putting them in my top 10. It's very hard for me to do these jerseys and try to not forget one of them. I forgot about those. I think I would have put it in for sure. I want to have it in there.
Well, vice versa.
but
I forgot the Dolphins, and I love those jerseys.
Yes. So there's all kinds of different jerseys, but my number 5 is going to be the old Packers 50s jerseys.
Oh.
It's a good, like I alluded to last segment, it's the historical value. I like watching the NFL when they have these older throwbacks. And for me, thinking about growing up as a kid with Brett Favre wearing the throwbacks, Aaron Rodgers was wearing it last season. It's that darker green sort of look to it.
Yeah.
That was a really good jersey, I felt like, last year, and I'm sure that they will continue to honor their heritage moving forward. So I'll take that at number 5.
Absolutely. Frazier?
I will be taking the Seattle Seahawks. I know, I believe it was Nick that mentioned it earlier with the Seahawks. I will be taking the Seahawks at number 5. Their promo for it on social media was top notch.
Yeah, they did. Social media team did a great job on that.
And those jerseys really pop out to me. So I love the silver helmets. Gives me a little bit of Detroit Lions vibe, but I'm okay with it.
Okay. All right. Moving on.
Number 4.
All right, number 4, I got the Eagles 80s Kelly green uniforms. They have not dropped yet.
Mm-hmm.
They will be dropping, I believe, on Monday, the 31st.
I think so.
I think that's what they've been teasing it and doing all these things all summer long, and they're going to be one of the last ones.
Mm-hmm.
But I already know what they look like. Listen, one of my favorite movies growing up was Invincible, and it was about the old Eagles team. Oh, what was the player's name from Invincible?
I don't remember, but it was Mark Wahlberg, right?
It was Papali.
Yeah.
Vince Papali.
Yeah.
With the Philadelphia Eagles and how he made the team as just a guy off the streets. The Eagles were awful at the time. And he made it. And I remember just loving that movie, loving those jerseys. Randall Cunningham was also, a trailblazer of mobile quarterbacks back in the day. They had some really good years with him. So I'm really looking forward to this team coming off of a Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts in this high-octane offense, wearing those Kelly green uniforms.
I feel like your top 5, some of these are going to make me be like, man, why didn't I put these in there? That's another one. But my number 4 is going to be the Vikings, the 60s jerseys.
Okay.
I think my whole theme here in my top 5 is retro. I'm going, what gives me the best retro vibe possible? And I feel like the Vikings 60s is where I'm going specifically. So what they wore last year is their throwback. I love those. And ever since they went back to that color scheme, I've enjoyed that more on them. And I kind of like their matte finish on their helmet.
I do too.
And it looks really good with their uniform too. And I think they have an all around, it's like a good, you can always go back to those jerseys and go, those are damn good jerseys.
Yep. All right, Frazier.
Some people may hate me for this pick, but at number 4, I'm going to go this Pittsburgh Steelers Bumblebee uniforms.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, well, I don't think they're wearing them this year.
I know, but something about it. I'm going to make an honorable mention at 4.
Did they wear those for only 1 year or
no,
couple?
They wore them for a couple of years, and don't get me wrong, when they wore them, they balled out.
Yes, they did.
They were averaging 45 points a game wearing those uniforms. So I have fond memories of them as a Steelers fan, but I just don't.
Big Ben the Bumblebee, man.
If I have to, I'm going to go with, I believe if I look this correctly, yes, I'm going to go with the Kelly Greens as well.
Okay. So an actual jersey that they're going to wear this year. I agree. Bumblebee jerseys were different. They were just a little too much for me. If anything, the jerseys they wore, the Steelers, what they wore against the Raiders on Christmas Eve last year,
those
their
were nice.
old 1970s with the block numbers and not having the logo on their jersey. Those are pretty clean. I did not put those on my list because I didn't want people saying, "Oh, you're just saying that."
Right.
So I didn't add them.
Yeah.
All right, Frazier. Moving on.
Number 3.
And this is where this jersey rightfully belongs, Nick Keyser.
Oh, no.
1980s New England Patriots, Pat the Patriot uniform. These jerseys, listen, they are so clean. And honestly, before the reveals this year, this was my number 1. Like, this was cream of the crop. The Pat the Patriot logo, just with like the old like actual Patriot hat from the Revolutionary War and the blue coat and getting down and taking a step. That's probably one of the best logos in NFL history. You combine that with the white helmet, the nice, clean red uniform with the white pants. It's just such a clean, nice look. And believe me, the top two, which, again, if you've been paying attention, you likely know what one of these top two is going to be. But if it wasn't for those two, this would likely have been my number one if these two other teams didn't come out with their uniform.
I like that. That's fine. I believe that some of those colors belong in Superman ice cream. It's just one of those. It's just one of those things that just stays with me as, you know, they're based. I think growing up, the Patriots were the Alabama version for me in the NFL, and I always wished they would lose. But Tom Brady persevered. My number 3 is going to be the Seattle Seahawks' newest throwback. I've told you both off the air, even at times, that I love these uniforms, and I believe growing up, seeing Russell Wilson spark and doing really well, I've become more of an underdog fan for them at times, and seeing them in the Super Bowl, that was my favorite that year because I believe they beat the Saints to get there, maybe not, but they did play a lot. It was always Drew Brees versus Russell Wilson, and that was one that I always watched, and I have them at 3 solely based on the color scheme. Yeah. It's a phenomenal jersey to look at, and it meshes so well with the theme there in the stadium.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Frazier.
Jimmy, I feel like we're on the same page here. I'm going with the New England Patriots as well.
Great choice.
About it.
Easy enough.
Great choice.
I remember when the Titans played them, and I believe they lost 60-0 in the heavy
in the snow. 2009, yes. They lost 59.
That was the first time I ever saw those uniforms. I'm just like, wow, those are nice.
And it was against their old Oiler uniforms with the blue helmet and the all white. Yeah, that I remember watching that game as a kid and looking back, and I was like, weren't the Titans just the number 1 seed the year before? Like, what is going on with this team?
Was Mike Vrabel on that team?
I believe he was.
Yeah.
I believe he.
I think he would have.
He
been.
might have been. Oh, I'll have to go back and look. I can't remember if it was 2009 or 2010 when he got traded to Kansas City.
Right.
I don't know. But either way, moving on to the final two.
Number 2.
This is where the Titans Oilers jerseys fall for me.
Okay.
Listen, when you ask me my favorite color, it is that baby blue. Baby blue is it's my favorite color. I love I hate North Carolina, the school.
Sure.
But I love their uniforms. I love their color scheme just because of the baby blue.
Okay.
The baby blue with the red and the fact that they went with the white helmets and the red face mask. I mean, like I said, it's chef's kiss.
Yeah, it is.
The jerseys look perfect. I love the fit. I cannot wait to see Derrick Henry run all over the Houston Texans, putting up another 200 yards against those guys. The Oilers come in at number 2 for me this season.
Okay, so at number 2 is going to be the New Orleans Saints for me.
Really?
Yes. I love their throwbacks. I've always loved their throwbacks.
Hate them.
They've done different themes. And look, this is where the top 10's always fun for the entire audience, and for us, it's because we are different fans of different teams growing up, and that's why we have places and rankings that are much different. But look, the Saints for me, I'm always going to have a soft spot for them. Now, I'm not a huge fan of what their latest throwback is. That might be what you're thinking of.
Okay. So the ones they wore last year, I thought those were hideous.
Yes, they do have some good throwbacks. I like the darker colors, but I really like how the fleur-de-lis looks.
Yes, the old fleur-de-lis look. I know,
right.
I know what you're talking. Okay.
Yes.
I can settle with those.
Okay.
I can settle with those.
Yes.
Fair enough. Frazier, you're number 2.
I'm taking the Houston Oiler combo here. I'm going to go put that at number 2. My number 1 might shock you all.
Honestly, like with process of elimination, I was going to say that. I was like,
all right.
This one's out of the question. This one, okay, where's he going with number 1?
Here we go.
All right, our final
number
one. Number 1 for me, and y'all have already had it on your list. It's the Seattle Seahawks.
Okay,
I love these uniforms, and maybe it's because they added the lava lamp in the mix in their little promo video. I had the exact same lava lamp color scheme when I was a kid, but whenever I play Madden and I go to the throwback jerseys, these are the throwback jerseys that I go to.
Yeah.
I mean, they look so good. I love the really kind of royal blue with the same neon green that they use in their uniforms nowadays, but with the silver in the silver pants and the silver helmet. I mean, when it just comes together, I think of those old documentaries of the Boz when he used to play for those old Seahawks teams. Don't get me wrong. They sucked. They sucked back then.
did.
They were awful. But those uniforms, man, did they look good. And I can't wait till they unveil them this year.
All right, my number one, the Oilers. And I'm going to go with the latest ones. They've all been the same if you ask me. There's not too much of a difference when they release these. I mean, they've worn them a little bit before, and I love how much attention the Texans fans have given them. I love the hate. Bring it. This is what the market needs to lead up to the game against them later this season. I will always go to these at number one until something else impresses me. This is the most favorite throwback jersey, almost in sports, I would say, for me personally. I'll go the old Oilers at number one. Frazier, you have a surprising number one. Go for it.
Yes, you both already mentioned it well back in your list. I'm going the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
The creamsicles.
I'm taking the creamsicles.
Okay, listen, you told me I was going to be shocked. I am not shocked.
Why is that?
Because I actually like them. I mean, they actually made my top 5. But where you lost me when you put Colts at 6. I'm still kind of losing it over that.
I just want to make sure you both were engaged. That's all.
Yeah, that definitely woke me up. So top 10 overall, 615-737-1025. Who had the best top 10? Who had the best uniform rankings? I think because, obviously we're in Nashville. Titans fans might go with Nick because he did put the Oilers at number 1. But for me, Seahawks just slightly edge. I mean, I went back and forth on this. It kept me up last night.
Yeah, and I mean, look, our top 3, you and I's top 3 is pretty similar. I've got Oilers, Saints, Seahawks, but I think it's pretty interchangeable for debate. So I really want to hear from our listeners. So give us a call, text us. I want to go through those as well. So we'll see where it goes. But I really have enjoyed our segments to end our program, and I'm looking forward to this next one too, Junie.
Absolutely. So coming up next, we always like to cap off with a little bit of Nashville SC.
The boys in
got
gold.
A big signing this week. They did have a tough loss. We're going to kind of get into the state of the team after we were in a bit of panic mode last week. We're going to cap off the show again with some Nashville SC. You're listening to Riddle and the Reporter here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
When it comes to Chase McCabe,
The Nashville Predators, the Titans, the NBA, college football, talk a little racing.
you get a little bit of everything.
But hey, you know what? We're getting it done.
Join Chase McCabe weekday mornings at 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
My student organization was suspended from campus for criticizing the Chinese government. We knew our free speech rights were being violated. That's why we teamed up with the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression. FIRE launched a full-scale campaign. They talked to the media, sent letters to the school's president, and put billboards up around campus telling our story. That's what FIRE does. They defend everyone's right to free speech. Defend free speech at thefire.org.
Paid for by thefire.org.
20 years ago, when Genesis Diamonds came to Nashville, this was one of the most expensive cities in America for diamond jewelry. Our radical approach and no middleman pricing changed that forever. And now we're doing it again, this time with lab-grown diamonds. We were shocked to find out what the other mall stores and the other big radio advertisers were charging. They sell their platinum 4-carat VS2 lab-grown earrings for $15,720. We sell them for $6,900. Their 3.08-carat lab-grown round diamond with G-Color VS2 clarity is $10,045. We sell it for $5,900. Looks like they might be going back to the old ways. If they're charging this much on lab-grown diamonds, kind of makes you wonder what else they're selling at the same outrageous markup. Nashville, we are not going backwards. At Genesis Diamonds, our non-commissioned trusted advisors are here to give you all the information with details you can trust and prices you can count on. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
This is Evan Bass for the Tennessee Men's Clinic. For most of us, sex is a big part of our relationship. So when something like erectile dysfunction starts affecting intimacy, it can be a real problem. But what you may not know is that ED doesn't just affect you, it can be tough on your partner as well. Plus, if you have ED, you know how it can make you feel. The truth is, we see a lot of guys who have depression, frustration, and even relationship issues because of ED. But we don't want ED to impact you or the one you love anymore. The Tennessee Men's Clinic tackles ED. Our urologists and medical providers take a comprehensive approach and have treated thousands of men with treatments that are successful in nearly 90% of cases. Even if your hormones are off, or if pills, wave therapy, or other treatments have left you hanging, the Tennessee Men's Clinic will work hard to help you get your sex life back, perhaps performing like you haven't in a long time. So call us. Your first appointment includes blood work and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. We have 2 offices in Midtown and Franklin.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra, results vary.
Tuning into the baseball game, monitoring the incoming storm, catching your favorite talk show. These are just a few of the reasons more than 80 million Americans depend on AM radio each month. And did you know AM radio is the backbone of the emergency alert system, keeping us safe in dangerous times? It's reliable, free, and public safety depends on it. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
You're listening to Riddle and the Reporter on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
I don't think we can say that everyone's really right on the button right now. That can be fatigue at this stage of the season, of course. We can certainly say that the climate has affected, the way that players go about their business throughout their 90 minutes. It's also choices of when to track players, when some of the communication that goes on. And there's a lot of breakdowns at the moment. They made absolutely the most of it. The first goal that we saw at half-time from the throw-in, for a group as well-versed as this one is, it's hugely disappointing.
That was Gary Smith talking about the state of Nashville SC after their 4-3 loss the other day. But before we get into that, join Caroline Fenton at Lou Haven Farm today from 2 to 4 p.m. for I Am a Difference Maker 7th Annual Cornhole Tournament and Barbecue Cook-Off. 100% of the proceeds will go to help local families in need. For more info, visit IamADifferenceMaker today/events. I think it's going to be a great little outing. Caroline Fenton should have a really good time out there doing that. But Nashville SC, I felt like we were in full panic mode last week.
Just a little bit.
Because the team was in like a 6-game losing streak. A lot of players were getting red cards and getting out of the lineup, and
the frustration
for a portion of it, people were going up and playing international, and they were missing somebody. And it seems like this team has really lost its steam. So they signed, Sam Surridge?
Yep. Yes,
joins the squad, and he comes from the Premier League,
Nottingham Forest.
Forest, and he is now supposed to be like the next big addition. Now, explain. You got to put this in real terms because this is me kind of being a soccer novice. But in the MLS, they have 3 designated players that don't count against the caps. Typically, Hani Mukhtar is one, and this guy's gonna be another. Who's the third player on
Walker
National
Zimmerman?
Walker,
that makes sense.
That's what I figured. So he is now the third player that's not going to count against the cap for Nashville SC. So hopefully he brings a surge. But they had a tough game the other night, Frazier. Do you want to kind of get into what you saw?
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get to the game, Sam Surridge was, introduced to the fans of Nashville SC at the stadium, but also had access to the media. Unfortunately, I got stuck behind the train over at Wedgwood, so couldn't get there in time. But
that's okay.
Another media member ended up tweeting out a picture of him being introduced to all the media, and he quote tweeted and said, "I want to break records here."
That's what I was going to go
Surridge.
to. Yes.
With Sam Surridge saying something like that, I look at it from a different perspective. Yes, it's great to have a guy from England that is a perennial goal scorer as a number 9, but at the same time, you also have to remember he's out to kind of benefit his own wealth as well. So if he is able to score 15 to 20 goals. Yeah, that's the opportunity that you want to have here in Nashville.
Yep.
But at the same time, he probably is watching out for himself.
Yeah.
So for him to say that he wants to break records, I also believe if he does have 15 to 20 goals in the first 2 seasons, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Like,
no.
If he goes into the rest of this season and, ends up scoring 8 or 9 goals, that's productive. That is very productive.
So first, I want to. How much is he getting paid for one? And two, a few years ago, Nashville SC went out and got one of these players from the Mexican League and got Ake Loba. And obviously, he was a bit of a flop for Nashville SC and all the money that they were paying him.
That's where my mind went.
Where what, $6 million or
6.8.
so?
6.8.
Yep.
And so with Sam Surridge, the transfer fee was at $6.4 million.
Okay.
That was a conversion of the £5 million, so to American dollars, that's $6.4 million.
Okay.
But with fees, it could go up to near 7-ish.
Wow. Okay.
From the knowledge that I've read online. So it could be a very good signing. It could also be not a very good signing. With Nashville, I really hope this is not the trend where we sign a bunch of, guys that we want to, kind of with the Titans and Preds. They have potential. We just need to get over the hump. And that's where I'm a little worried if this guy does pan out, which I really hope he does, and I think he will.
Sure.
He's going to provide a lot of extra stability up top. I know with Teal Bunbury recently, he's had a red card in the last Leagues Cup match. And
he did.
His touch has not been up to par from my perspective. And it's just unfortunate to see him in this poor form because he's a really serviceable player. He can help, set up play. He can help, dish the ball out to the left and right flanks of the pitch. And unfortunately, he actually did help set up the Luke Hawkinson goal the other night. Dished it out to Schaffelberg out the left flank, and Hawkinson ended up putting it in the back of the net through a cross. So, there are some benefits to this. I do think once all the visa stuff is situated with Surridge, this guy's about to be an immediate impact for Nashville SC.
He will. I think that's a great way to go about it. I think the other thing that stood out to me about his presser too, Nick, was he said he also left Nottingham with his head held high. I was reading through some different stories at the time that when it was announced and after the press conference and things, and I paid attention to the game that night too, and much like you mentioned, Teal there and his struggle, there are a couple of guys that unfortunately could be replaced and could see a lot less minutes because of this, and he is a true number 9, but we do have Hani, so that's something to consider too, is what kind of approach will Gary have. And I think just based on how Gary has sounded, I think he's very adamant that he would like to see his team take the next step. And I'm just going to give some fans the perspective from even the standings too, that I saw this last night but want to go back over this now, is Nashville is in 4th place in the Eastern Conference. The East is loaded, I would say. It's been a pretty strong conference to watch this year. I know that New England and Cincinnati have kind of dictated that, and New England will be coming in at some point here pretty soon, I believe. But in the West, if you do put Nashville over in the West, they are pretty high up on there. They're right up there with LAFC.
Yeah.
And so you have to consider that, yes, they had a 6-game skid. Yes, they've struggled. Yes, it's frustration among the players. But this is an adjustment period. They can come back. It's all on their own. Like I said last week, this is the time where they can capitalize on the opportunity in front of them. They have a fresh face, and hopefully not only is Sam motivated, but it's going to motivate the teammates, his new guys that are going to be part of his life and the type of chemistry they'll establish. So I'm excited to see where it goes.
So this is what I want to ask. When is this guy going to, get in the starting lineup and start making an impact? And whose spot is it going to take? Is it going to be Fafa? Is it going to be
could be
whose spot is going to get taken?
I'm glad you asked that question because there was a lot of speculation. When is this guy going to play?
Or Schaffelsberg.
With Nashville SC, with their loss the other night, it leads them in a tight position. They cannot really win their group in the Leagues Cup. They could. They need a 1-0 win from Colorado against Toluca, which is very unlikely for them to go all atop of their group. But the best they can do is finish second. and we don't know when that game would be, but the next home game would be against New England, August the 20th. And around that time, that's about 3 weeks from now. And I was looking online for athletes in this transfer market for soccer. It's roughly around the visa takes around 2 to 3 weeks. The 3-week mark is what it's kind of getting at now, and that's around the time that we'll see him. I wouldn't be surprised to see him come off the bench. That's my probability of a pick. Wouldn't see him start. Maybe, possibly if he's fit and shape enough, but got to get him back in the soccer shape.
Well, you got to get him back in shape. Got to build some chemistry with the starting lineup. And I mean, this is what we saw with Loba. He never really stopped coming off the bench because he never really fit into this team. But
now to answer your question though about who he'll go in for, Teal Bunbury without a doubt.
I think so
because
too.
They both complement the same style of play. They're tall. They'll utilize his height, but at the same time, this guy can pass the ball and he's a perennial goal scorer. He can get behind the defense. And I'm telling you, once Nashville SC gets Jack Mayer back, Randall Leal back, once they get their core guys back, because there was a lot of disconnect between the defense the other night. Once they get all that back, my personal opinion, I really do think this team is on the upswing. They're done with their little rut of up and down roller coaster results. Once they get their core guys back, this team is going to be back where they were.
And I think Mike called shot Frazier super fast. I think he'll start against Atlanta. I think that would be the time period I would give him to be a starter on the roster.
And it's tough coming back though, because look at the 3 games that they got. When they do come back,
they have Messi soon.
I know they have New England Revolution, who's there right now. They're second in the standings in the East, 5 points ahead of Nashville SC. Then you got Atlanta United. They're sitting there at the 7th seed, kind of in the bottom of the playoff marker in the standings. And then you got to go to Miami to play Messi and Inter Miami. And right now, they look a little bit unstoppable. So you're talking about 3 tough games in the mix. I would say if you could get 2 out of the 3 and guys start coming back healthy, maybe you could start to see a run as we get into September and into early October when the playoffs start to kick off. But, that's tough billing to ask for a team that has really been struggling to come back and get back into it.
Absolutely.
But that is all the time that we have today. We appreciate you listening to Riddle and the Reporter. We will be back next Saturday from 9 to 11 right here on 102.